Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Monday, the 17th, is it today? Goodness, 16th of April. I'm losing count of days here. Monday, 16th of April. So, where are we going then? Euro dollar, well, 39 pip move, I think it was on Friday. Massive move. Where to today? Well, it's pretty much a similar picture in terms of what we're looking at there. It's still running around this monthly pivot. It doesn't seem to want to let go of it at the moment. It's each new monthly pivot over the last 3 months is, as I said last week, it's pretty much stalemate, and it seems to be that way at this stage. Now, just coming down to the 60 minutes for a bit more clarification, if there is anything more. Potential here where we've already hit the daily and weekly pivot from where we're sitting here. It looked like it may have pushed back up again for a short while this morning. I will have to wait until it shows its hand, really. If it starts breaking below these pivots, well, where to? Well, it's quite an easy point down to that S1 area potentially, but you're talking about very small amount of pips. The risk rewards probably won't look particularly good unless it starts breaking. But there is support for 200 around there. Yes, it's been tested before. It may, from this pattern, err towards that side, especially if it starts breaking, as I say, the two pivots there. We'll just have to see how it goes. It's to me, as it said, the targets for it look pretty thin. We do need some volatility coming into this euro dollar, which doesn't appear to be a great deal on the horizon at the moment. There are a number of trend lines which I'll look at on the weekly outlook later, but for now, as I said, maybe erring weaker side with the chop around where we're sitting here. If it breaks those pivots, certainly it's the weaker side. There is a short-term area across these highs here. If it breaks across those highs, well, maybe we'd be looking for a bigger bounce, but it's not conclusive there at the moment. The pound, well, the pound certainly has been making sort of easier direction most days, pushing up into Friday, back into those prior highs, that area into its daily R1. The moment it's got the weekly pivot sitting below it, it's not making the best of cases here to push up further, but yet it may still. If it does, it will probably be a game of divergence. We saw it last week. It moved up with divergence and then just chopped sideways. It must have the strength in this move overall to be wanting to push up, and there possibly is more potential that way. However, I'm looking this morning towards this weekly pivot, the daily S1. Maybe if we see a breakdown of the lows here, we'll actually just draw the trend line on there across. There is effectively a low sitting across. I can even use the current candle at the moment, maybe, but across this point here, there is a secondary low, or more significant low sitting across here, which I think we've cut through. Actually, it's walked out sideways. So, really, just looking at this area here, we start seeing it breaking down. It certainly didn't have any strength with this move this morning. That's done, but it's pre 8 o'clock and slightly riskier for me. So we'll just watch this. If it starts breaking down, well, the 50's been tested numerous times before. It may be a fresh test on it. It may give us some support initially, but as I said, the S1 and weekly pivot may just drag it down there. Dollar yen. Dollar yen now, it looks like it's still got some potential upside here. It's had yet another bounce on this daily trend line that was true here last week or the week before. It's a little bit iffy on this. There we go. Let's just adjust the 4-hourly trend line. So it's a bit short on that 4-hourly trend line, but kicking around the area, perhaps it's got a little bit more downside just to come to meet that. But it does look bearish on this 60-minute chart at the moment with a lower high in, but it may just be an ABC correction. We'll just have to sit and watch that one. It's not something I particularly want to go chasing in. It's been one that gets caught up with option plays so often that it strangles it a lot of days. So maybe if it starts breaking the lows here on the bigger picture, 4-hourly stroke daily picture there, if it starts breaking those, then maybe looking down to the sell side of it at the moment. But it's held up there. It has pushed into that, well, potentially a divergence move on the dailies there. It's a pretty weak looking move that it broke through last week. It's not managed to hold in above the R1 area on the monthlies there, and as I said, it's been pretty choked by option trades up until now. Aussie dollar. Well, if it can get a picture of the Aussie dollar, it'd be good. Now, the Aussie finally did what I was looking for it last week. It took 60 hours or something, as I mentioned, to do what it was, but then it pushed through, ran into its daily 200 moving average here, and then put in a real bearish bar there. Now, we've got the weekly pivot below us at the moment. It's I thought we might have seen a little bit more upside here, but it's probably no surprise with the euro running sideward that it's struggled to do too much more. So from what we're seeing here, we've got the weekly below. May just come back and test that at some point. I don't think I'll go chasing with this one. They take so long, but I've said that now, and it's probably going to roll straight back down towards that weekly area. It'll have some decent support around that area, I would imagine, with those prior lows. People will probably be buying into that in the S1 sort of zone. So there is the potential there. A few Aussie traders out there, but it's not 28 pips, I guess. It's got a few pips there, somewhere in that region. So there's the potential for that downside as it runs through this morning and tomorrow morning and the morning after, maybe. Canadian dollar. Right, it's struggling a little bit where it is at the moment, trying to push back up a little, but has got the weekly pivot above, which could be a bit of a draw on it, and may draw back into that on this 4-hourly picture. I mean, most of last week it sat there in a very tight range, sitting around its weekly pivots there. It may just manage to break back up towards that new weekly pivot. It's certainly got the potential to do so. It's sort of looking to try and put a high low in. Again, we've got this sort of on the upside here, we've got this key area sitting there at 126.20 area. If we can break that, well, then I'd be more inclined to look for the move up to that weekly pivot. But would like to see oil coming off if it does, but well, oil sort of slips off a little bit. I'll just go into oil for a moment. Oil's just maybe just trading down a little bit this morning, and the situation in Syria, and there's allegedly no more bombing coming in, it may settle down over the coming days and pull down. It may even settle down today a little bit. And so, I mean, it's not a massive move we're looking there for oil to start pushing down, which in consequence we may see the Canadian dollar push up towards its weekly pivot, if it will ever come back to me. So there we are. That's pretty much it. News-wise today, there's very little out. We've got core retail sales for the US at 130. There's little aside of that. So core retail sales, looking at those numbers, see how punters are buying over there to see if we've got the consumer-driven strength there. It doesn't look the strongest of all. Empire State Manufacturing Index coming out at the same time there at 130, not such a big mover. So that's it. Have a great one. Bye for now.